Well, I say other things about like dirt bike riding and riding bicycles. Like, if you don't fall down, you're not trying hard enough. But that does not apply in aviation.
Right.
That analogy is not going to be used today. So
You even look like a pilot. Got that jacket rocking.
This is my real coat.
That is your real
It looks
coat.
like I went to the costume store.
All right, so as we're taxiing out, Dr. Keith Matheny, like the Keith Square show.
He's squared.
So tell me about you, because you've got a ton of businesses. Like when it comes to definition of a serial entrepreneur, I think of you.
Well, thank you. That's a huge compliment.
So, yeah, tell us about what you do.
So first and foremost, I have a family of 4, counting myself. And after that, I am still a pretty much full-time surgeon. Been with this practice for 20 years following my training at Vanderbilt. And what I specifically do, ear, nose, and throat, is actually there's a wide range of subspecialties.
I know, I looked up what type of surgeon you are, and it's a really complicated word to pronounce, so
Yep.
maybe you can give that to us.
So the big long name is otorhinolaryngology. And so
Wow, so say that one more time. That's
otorhinolaryngology.
okay. I'm not even going to attempt that one. Clear for 18780 November Whiskey.
Tower Archer 509 Alpha Foxtrot requesting short approach.
I see the birds circling around the end of the runway, so I'm going to climb above that.
Yeah, so I practice pretty much full time, and I'm at a point in my career in medicine that I just have fantastic patients. Pretty much every single one is something, a disease state or a problem that I like to care for, and so it's a time when I really think about how grateful I am for that. But I'm equally grateful for the twists and turns that my career has taken, including leading us to meet, working together in one of my other companies. And
So let's unpack that. How you got where you're at, how you became this serial entrepreneur,
So you say.
surgeon, mysterious man of mystery, of
International
the most
man of mystery.
international man of mystery,
That's right.
most interesting man in the ENT world. Is that an appropriate title?
I don't think that's even remotely true. Maybe.
Well, you are in a plane
I'm the
with
most.
a parachute on right
That's
now.
right.
So,
I do have a parachute.
so in terms of most interesting man in ENT, I think you are it right now.
So how about the most interesting ENT in this plane?
Perfect.
Okay, I think we can agree on that.
That's humble.
So physicians go to school really until they're early to mid 30s, straight through. That's the most prescribed route. And you never have a single semester of business. Most of us don't. In fact, there's a lot of redundancy. Redundancy in an aircraft is good. Redundancy in cybersecurity is good.
Absolutely.
Redundancy in education is a waste of time, in my opinion. It sure, in my opinion, as an old man now, was a missed opportunity for me to learn classics and business and so many other things that I could have taken advantage of while I was at Baylor. I joined 2 wonderful physicians in suburban Dallas. My first week of practice, I had 50 new patients. I took over business operations, and over the subsequent 4, 5, 6 years, made a lot of good guesses, made a lot of mistakes, and learned from them. But nevertheless, we had moved out of our old environs by that hospital into 3 different areas within this county that we're flying over right now. And we had modern new offices. We were receiving a lot more patients than already busy practice had been receiving 5 years before. We had figured out how to bring in mid-level providers, which are really a lifeblood of how we practice now, not just in ENT, but across all of medicine.
Really some business by hard knocks, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Just
Which is the best
thrown
way.
into it.
The best
Yeah.
way. You don't learn that on a PowerPoint in the classroom, right?
Yeah.
I would be remiss not to give credit, as I hopefully will throughout our chat today, to so many people who have been benevolent and took me under their wing and taught me and protected me and helped me along the way. And I very fortunately was on vacation with my uncle, and he was part of a large national company now called US Oncology, and they did large-scale clinical trials. And he had just benefited from a acquisition of that company, US Oncology, by the world's largest healthcare company, McKesson. And he was talking about that and how synergistic that acquisition was. And he said, you know, McKesson is so happy with what we're doing in oncology. You should talk to them about doing that in otorhinolaryngology, right, in ear, nose, and throat. And so he put me in touch with the powers that be, and we talked over the subsequent year or two, and they discovered the passion that I have for our specialty. You know, ear, nose, and throat, from many perspectives, is economically the most important specialty there is. If you just take something like otitis media, ear infections in little kids,
Yeah.
think how frequently that keeps a parent home because they can't take the child to daycare.
Sinus infections and
Sinus and allergy. Even if you are showing up to work, you may be only half as productive, especially if you're taking antihistamines and other things that give you that dreaded medicine hit.
Yeah.
And so economically, ENT is a very important specialty, and as such, it really has been the darling of investors over the last 20 to 30 years. And so McKesson was very excited, but they said, listen, we're twice as big as Johnson & Johnson. We have no earthly idea how to do something early stage. What we do well is take a company that's been built and scale it. And so why don't you go talk to the people that helped your uncle found US Oncology, build it, and in a decade or two, we'll talk about the synergy that we could have together. And so I did just that.
You work with enough doctors, you really start understanding that their passion is patient care. That's why they got into healthcare.
Absolutely.
And making an impact on people's lives. And so I think getting bogged down in the business and becoming really a slave to the business and going, wow, I'm a part-time surgeon and full-time business person. This is really not what I wanted. I see that as you're giving some relief to that. You're enabling providers to get back into their zone of genius and get focused back on patient care and making a difference, right?
That's my intention. I hope that we're doing that. I believe that you hit the nail on the head. My goal with these things is to offload some of that headache and to free up physicians to just do what they love, to take care of their patients. What was going on in the ENT space was this renaissance in technology. And so that's why we decided that, the best way we can help a practice through this consulting company is to build an organization that negotiates pricing, controls inventory, kind of vets out the best technologies that we have. And so we now have been live for about 3 years, and we have over 600 physicians and hundreds more mid-level providers around the country. In fact, I just announced this morning that we signed a practice in the US Virgin Islands that is purchasing through our contracts. Again, we're not
Sounds like you're going to have a visit there you're going to need to make.
Absolutely.
I may need to go with you on
Yes,
that.
absolutely.
I mean, yeah.
How much fuel do we have?
Yeah, we may need a little bit more.
A little
but
bit more.
We could get there eventually.
Yeah.
And that's how we work together, and in terms of being the exclusive provider of cybersecurity and IT services, DKB Innovative, our involvement in working together, and hopefully get to do some business together in Virgin Islands.
Exactly. Cybersecurity is critical, and so that's what I'm thrilled with, how the company has evolved to offer these kinds of services. So not just discounts on widgets and things like that, but actually providing services such as what you offer, maybe.
Yeah.
If you need to go ahead and park this, go ahead and park it.
I think we're ready to come in. Yeah.
We'll pick this up in a moment.
All right. Lancaster Regional 0 November Whiskey is in downwind for 1-3. We'll turn for full stop, Lancaster. What do you think of that?
It's a hot rod.
Yeah. Lancaster Regional 0 November Whiskey, short funnel for 1-3, Lancaster.
That's it.
Little bounce there, but not too bad.
Better than American. Plane is so nip.
Yeah.